Go.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Andrew. Thanks for being here. I know it's the end of the semester. We're all busy, tired from all the work, but I appreciate you guys coming in. So today I'm going to talk to you about the cave. You may be wondering, what exactly is the cave? Well, the cave basically is a social, a political, and an economic construct. And what I mean by that is that it was designed, created, and is maintained by a ruling elite. And it's used to keep people like you and me controlled and void of ignorance, to keep us sheltered from seeing the truth about reality. It's dynamic, it's always changing because we interact with it every day. Very smart people are behind the cave, and they learn about how we interact with it, and they change it to kind of guide the direction that we go. So, most importantly, you have to know that the cave is a lie, and it's just a very complex illusion. Where the cave came from, Plato came up with it. I think he's Greek, very smart man. It was from the Republic, book number 7. Basically, the idea is you have captors who are holding prisoners hostage. No, not hostage. The people have been there since they were born. They've lived in the cave all their life. They don't know anything outside the cave. And their captors display shadows on the wall for them to look at and observe. Now, to the prisoners, these caves are all they have of reality. This is all they know, and they begin to develop sort of a culture around the idea of these shadows. They start praising the people who can name what shadow is what fastest. They give them rewards, they hold them in high regard, but it's all just an illusion, it's not real. Basically, their culture is essentially meaningless because it's just a big lie. Those who escape the cave, at first they're blinded when they get out. You spend your whole life in this cave, you see all these shadows, and suddenly you step out and you see the sunlight. It's going to hurt at first, and they're going to want to retreat back into the cave that they're familiar with, and they're not going to want to explore the world. They don't want to see the truth. But once they get over that, they see how beautiful the real world is compared to what they've been living in their whole life, and they start to sympathize with the rest of the prisoners. And Plato suggests that it's the duty of the enlightened to descend back into the cave and to release the other prisoners from their captors so that they can see the truth of reality. So my plan is to make a video game based on this concept of the cave. If any of you have seen The Matrix, which I'm sure a lot of you have, that's the perfect example of a sci-fi interpretation of the allegory of the cave. But instead of robots controlling people, I'm going to incorporate a theme of American consumerism. And I don't mean a consumerism in the sense of, you want to, buying things or capitalism. I'm fine with free market, that's all well and good. What I'm focusing on is the obsession of material goods and this belief that buying things and money will make you happy, and that's become a sort of drive, I think, in America for a lot of people. It's just kind of the point of why they go to school, what they're doing, why they're doing what they're doing. They think that they need money. And it distracts them from seeing all these other terrible things that are going on: poverty, world hunger, war. It's a distraction. It keeps them controlled. It's going to be a first-person graphic adventure. There's not going to be any killing demons or terrorists, anything like that. It's going to be very straightforward, and it's going to incorporate a lot of puzzle elements. It's going to be the main drive of the game, is to figure out all the puzzles. So the design. Your mission is to get to El Dorado. El Dorado has always been known in mythology as being a city of gold, a place of a lot of wealth, a lot of riches, and that's where you're trying to get to. In the game, it's kind of like a Valhalla. It's the place you want to get to. You want to ascend to El Dorado, and there you'll live on with your material goods for all eternity, and you'll be happy forever. The way to do that is through the Treasury of Trials, and what that's going to be is sort of a shopping mall. You're going to be collecting all the material goods you need to ascend to El Dorado and be happy. That's the plan. But in reality, the shopping mall is a maze. It's just another control mechanism to keep people constantly distracted collecting things while they just kind of rot their lives away. So yeah, it's going to be in the shape of the maze, and most of the material goods are going to be centralized in the center of the maze. So the more goods the player collects, the deeper into the maze they're going to get, and the farther from the exit they're going to be. So it kind of displays the futility of collecting possessions. They're not going to help you out in the game at all. They're just going to keep you from actually beating the game. But it also gives people a perpetual goal. A lot of video gamers I know are perfectionists. They want to collect everything in the game. They collect like every little detail. So that's just kind of emphasizes the point of what kind of person you are. If you collect everything, maybe you should reconsider your consumerism habits. So the idea is that you have two parties influencing the player. You have the captors and the enlightened. There's going to be the narrator guiding you, telling you what to do, where to go. You have to collect. You gotta grab this item at this store, and you gotta grab this. If you want to get to El Dorado, you gotta get to El Dorado. Let's go, keep going. It'll be better written than that. They just kind of made that up. And then there are going to be relics of the enlightened. People that came before you, they realized that the mall, El Dorado, it's all a lie, and the cave is an illusion. And they left behind artifacts for other people to find, to discover that truth for themselves. So it's important to remember that no amount of items are going to help you out. They're not going to help you complete the game. And that's kind of an expression of the futility of material possession. So this is how I'm going to go about creating it. For the environment and characters, I haven't decided how many characters are going to be in the game. They're really difficult to model and animate. It's going to be very basic. I'm going to keep it to as few as possible. But I'm going to use Maya 2009 and Photoshop to create them. For the environment, I'm going to use baked lighting textures. Lights are very resource intensive in computers. It's a bad idea to use them in a video game where the computer has to constantly process everything in real time. So instead, we put a light in a scene, sort of take a picture of it, and bake that texture onto a model to give it the illusion of being lit when it's just how the model looks. And then I'm going to use segmented models. Since the game's going to be a maze, I'm going to break up the maze into pieces so that I can model just several pieces and reuse them, connect them into little segments. For the actual game itself, I'm going to be using Unity 3D. It's script and object based. You can just import any object from most modeling programs, but Maya is built to work with it really well in particular. And then you write up code with JavaScript and attach it to the object, and it behaves accordingly. It has built-in triggers and custom features. Like I said, you use JavaScript to code, so anything you can imagine using JavaScript for, which is a lot, you can use in Unity. And it has a built-in physics, and also has built-in particle effects, which is really nifty. It makes it really easy to make fire effects or cool explosions. Not that I'm going to be using a whole lot of those, but you can also use them for smoke effects, just a variety of things. For the sound, music, and sound effects, I'm going to be using Pro Tools 7. I don't know much about it. My friend is a music major. He's really good with music and sound effects, and he's going to help me out with that part. So why is it worth doing? Well, a lot of games are mature. They have a lot of blood and gore, so they have a lot of mature content. It's hard to find a non-violent, mature themed game. Many non-violent games are usually aimed towards children or family-oriented games. They're a lot of fun, but they're not usually that deep. Never really have a very clear message. So I'm looking to get a lot of commentary about society in this game. It's a logical audience because I think video games are a distraction for a lot of people. And in a way, video games have become kind of a cave in themselves. So it makes sense to make a game about the cave so that people who play games might learn something from it. And just to see how incorporating classic philosophy into games, that's just to see how